So there she is, hanging in the garage, collecting dust. Haven't messed with it quite a while. Got tired of crashing it and putting hundreds of dollars and hundreds of hours back into it just to hover. I'm a professional hoverer after a decade of trying, so decided I wanted to build a model truck to put on static display with it. Just sitting out here in the garage one day thinking of some kind of project, something to do, and got to researching and looking for model kits, and what I needed was about a 1/18 to 1/16 scale deuce and a half to convert into a tractor trailer and make a low boy like it was recovering the truck just for a static display, recovering the Huey rather, and couldn't find anything. And the kits that I did found were outrageously priced, but I found a couple of Chinese manufacturers making what they called 1/16 scale radio controlled 6x6s. I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. The JJRC, WPL, Henlong, several different manufacturers, most of them toy grade. I will say WPL recently in the last few months has really stepped up their game because they're putting out a hobby grade product at toy grade prices. But I ended up with pieces and parts from all those manufacturers over the last year. I started out with WPL B36. Let me take that back. Actually, I started out with a $30 Chinese off-brand. I don't even remember what they branded it as. I ended up putting several $100s and several hundred hours into it and then selling it on eBay, and took that money and reinvested. And now what started out as a project to build one truck has filled my garage. But this update basically is for the B36. I want to show you what all I've done with it because it has been everything under the sun, and I think I'm finally done with it. So take a look. There she is. Here's all my other mess. My wrecker, finally got it to a point where I'm happy with it, so that's what I was really getting after when the whole thing started, and then that monster grew. I bought this B36 as a ready to run. Came with this bed. Ran it that way for a while, broke some things, upgraded some things. Finally ended up deciding to make this bed into an off-road trailer. So I got an off-road communications trailer with widened wheels and extra heavy-duty, one-of-a-kind frame. Does a real good job. Took it off and put a fifth wheel on it and pulled that trailer around for a while with a dolly, and then I pulled it around for a while with the fifth wheel. Then I decided to get me another old truck and put a fifth wheel on it. Took the suspension I had built for that trailer and put on that trailer right there, and put single overload springs with shackles on it, give it that 1950s era look. So anyway, the B36, I ended up making it a 4x4 because I kept having trouble with the bridge axles. I built this bed, put on it, ran it that way for a while. Kind of liked it, but it just never suited the B36. So then took that JJRC bed and customized it, put the men in it, ran the B36 with that for a while, but never was really happy with it. I was just kind of bored with the regular old stake bed. Thought about building another wrecker, thought about turning it into another tractor heavy hauler, thought about making it a tri-axle, and decided that I wanted to go a whole nother route. So I just got a WPL tanker and spare tire kit. Mounted it a little different than it's designed from the factory because I like having my big pendle hook on it. So I had to move it back a little bit. Just did all the final painting and everything on it today. It's probably still wet. Like I said, this thing's been everything under the sun, but the main reason I wanted that tanker was, even though these little 2S 1500 milliamps fit under the hood nicely and they do a pretty good job, I want to get rid of that. And I wanted to get rid of that so that I could run that. Can y'all see that? See the difference? Big difference. 3S 5000 milliamp. And there she is. Got my voltage checker on it. Got it mounted in foam. I just unplug it here. I made a patch cord so that I can plug it into my charger. Just plug the JST into the charger. So now I can run this thing all day at 12 volts, 11.1. And I gotta tell you guys, it's amazing. I got the version 3 WPL ESC receiver sound card combination. So I got rid of all the electronics I had shoved up under this thing, and I got one simple little board that actually performs better than all that did. I have done quite a few upgrades, so bear in mind it's got wheel weights. I've taken 6 extra wheels and cut them so that I could widen all 6 wheels. Of course, the front ones aren't as wide as the back, but that you can see here. See how concave the tire is factory, and go around a turn or whatever and it folds over and comes off. Now they actually puffed out like super singles are supposed to be. It handles really, really good. I've got the heavy duty springs and the lift shackles in the front for the clearance. Got the factory rears with the overload springs. I got 2 sets of the factory springs plus 2 heavy duty leafs to give it lift in the rear. Oh, sorry, dropped you guys. The whole reason I wanted to put the spare tire in is because, you know, space is a premium on these things, so can't really get the camera in there to see it very good, but the speaker is mounted as the rim. I cut another rim down and put the faceplate on here so it looks like a rim, and then put the back side on there as well, and that's the speaker. Gave it a stack, put a little window in there, halfway rolled down, put wing windows in both sides. Put the brush guard on here, give it a little bit of a different look. Done a little bit of painting and weathering and detailing. I did have a strobe light on here, but it doesn't really have a good place to run on this receiver because it is radio controlled and I didn't have a channel for it. So being the genius I am, I hooked it up on the winch and the reverse voltage burned it up. So I don't think I'm gonna be replacing that, but anyway, just want to show everybody all the upgrades and everything that I've done on this thing. I've made some run videos. It doesn't really show the capabilities of the truck, but it doesn't really show shows the capabilities of the truck pretty good, but it doesn't really showcase all the work that went into making it that way. It's a factory 2-speed WPL transmission, WPL 370 motor. I've got 3 different kinds of drive shafts in here. I actually fabricated this one because I didn't like any of them that were designed for these. I wanted to have the leafs broke away to where the axles actually drop out. It's got the upgraded bridge axle and the hardened steel rear axle, stainless steel front with the high pivot, what am I trying to say? U-joint rather than ball cup. So that's how I get the turning radius I do. I still have a little bit of bump steer, but it's not that bad. I've got the servo mounted all the way in the bottom of the factory case with a long arm on it and a nice bend. So let's see if we can see, it will bump steer, but that's full travel. It's not enough to notice when you're crawling, or as fast as this thing runs, it's really not enough to notice on the asphalt. But such as she is, there she is. I put the on-off switch back where it was, factory original. Like I said, I've got the version 3 system on it. So basically this truck is what you can buy from them now as a kit, and the version 3 sound system you can buy from WPL. So they've got the truck for 120, you got this for 35, so you're 155 into it, and it's pretty much ready to run. I mean, of course, you gotta get battery, charger, and do your wiring, do the build. To get to the point this truck's got, you would have to get the springs and the spring shackles, and if you wanted to do the power upgrades and have the room, of course, you'd have to spend the $30 or whatever they charge for the tank. So, I mean, I built this thing from a ready to run that I paid $70 for, and it's been through so much stuff I really haven't kept up with it, but I'd say I've probably got close to $300 in this truck. But the way they sell them today, you could build this truck for less than $200 if you were starting from scratch. I like that they've got the 3 volume settings and off, and you got the option of the winch, the built-in potentiometer right there on the radio. It's got very good proportional steering. I mean, for what it is, it's every bit as good as radios that I've paid 3, 4, 5 times that much money for. So the throttle, very responsive, and the only thing I don't like is the fact that the shift button's up here instead of down here where you can get to it, but I can deal with that for $35 for something that's comparable to those. Much more money, and all compacted into one simple little board that's easy to hide away in these small trucks. That's what I really like about it. I've been really impressed with this thing. Their new system starts off in high, but in low, it has a very good drag brake. And look at that, guys. I'm not even touching the radio. I've got the phone in one hand and I haven't touched the radio. I just put the truck on about a 60% incline and it just walked down there. So for crawling, the little $35 units they're putting out now are just as good as my $250 radio and receiver, and then you still got to buy an ESC and sound unit and find some place to put it all. WPL's really hit the nail on the head with this thing. So anyway, I just wanted to show off a little bit of my work and show off how far they've come with what they've been doing. That unit's also got the light control. Turn the lights on and off from the radio. It's got turn signal.